So watching us, it's New Dawn on the People's Telly, OGTV. And this morning we are discussing an issue that concerns every Nigerian, because I don't think there's anybody in Nigeria or in any part of the world that doesn't eat bread. In recent times, the cost of diesel has led to skyrocketing costs of other things in the country. One of them is that very important food item, bread. And bread now seems to be disappearing, from the stands where they sell them. If you get them very expensive. So we want to look at how we're not going to make bread become gold in this country. We have a popular baker in Abeokuta joining us this morning to look at this issue. We also have another guest that's coming to join us, but when he comes in, he will join us. But for now, we have Mr. Adekunle as our guest on the program this morning. We're looking at how we can actually stop bread becoming gold. Good morning, Mr. Adekunle.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, viewers at home.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you must have also been feeling that this time will come when the cost of diesel, started going up. I know that on one or two occasions we've had to interact with you and you've expressed your fear that we're going to get there. But despite that, we've been going. But it's actually gotten to a stage now that it's becoming a little bit dangerous for Nigerians now, because if bread disappears, what are we going to eat?
What's the hope of the common man?
What's the hope of the common man? Now, so just give us, calculatively or arithmetically, how this has affected your operations.
One, because we don't have the conventional electricity supply, every factory, not only bakeries, now require to generate their own power on their own. And for industries, you use diesel, and the government said they had deregulated the area of diesel in their petroleum policy. So people are now selling at whatever cost they feel is profitable for them. So definitely the price of diesel rose from around 185 it was. Presently they sell diesel for 800, 810 per liter. And that's over almost 500, over 400% increase in the price of diesel. And if you need to generate power 24 hours on your own, whatever cost is incurred in generating power, as a businessman, you bring it up on your cost of production. So the issue of generating power and the hike in the price of diesel will affect so many things, because most materials are brought to the factory or brought from farm to the factory via vehicles using diesels. That is an aspect of it, the logistic aspect. Then the production aspect. Most companies run on diesels. So that is just a part of it. And there are no deliberate policy on the part of government either to assist manufacturers or to live up to expectation. You heard last week, they said the national grid broke down the sixth time in 7 months. Come, even when it didn't broke down, it was not giving us any value. So you see, when you live in a country where there are no deliberate policies to better the lives of people, that is the truth.
So what is it that the government should be doing right now? You talked about the fact that the federal government already deregulated the sector, and globally we could see that the price of fuel is skyrocketing based on the demand and the supply, the war in Ukraine, and every other thing in context. So what is it that the government should be doing so that that would not really, like we said, before bread becomes gold. So we won't get to the point where it will become gold and only the golden people will be able to afford bread.
I'm saddened when I look at the situation all around. I don't think people actually plan or are prepared before they come into government. All I think they are interested is to occupy positions. If you have a feeling for your people, if you are part of them, and you know how things are, you have a deliberate plan on solving problems. The issue of bread price going up, it's not new. From the onset, the major material used for bread, which is wheat, hardly do we have wheat farmers in Nigeria. We have some,
okay,
but they are not encouraged. There was a time the CBN was saying they were giving loans to those who are cultivating wheat. But my question is, let them bring the list of those that they gave that money. And
at least they should be helping us by now.
See, they politicize everything.
Okay, so politics is at the center.
One. That is one. Two, I wonder what people think of. There are no deliberate policy to grow your own wheat. Then we talk of imported wheat. Do you know presently the federal government is taxing the wheat that are imported? And that's the bane of the whole thing.
So if the government is able to remove taxation from
apart
wheat,
from removing taxation, the only thing government is interested in subsidizing is only petrol. And I beg to be corrected. It's because that sector is shady. The petrol, they say they are subsidizing. But this is the only nation I know they are not subsidizing food items, food products. In other nations, what the first thing they will make sure is that food is available. You see, at a time, about almost 30 years ago, I remember we had this thing in Ogun State, Ogadep.
Okay.
The then GM1, I think it's late now, had a program then. He said, if you are interested in cultivating cassava farm and maize, there's a program. From the beginning, they will supply you inputs, they will give you everything you need. All you need to do is to supervise and maintain the farm. At the maturity of your crops, they'll come to your farm, the two of you will do the harvesting, then they'll tell you, you'll calculate what the cost of those products, then they'll remove the cost of the inputs to supply, they give you a balance. So you can plan at the end. A man can say, okay, if I know from 20 acres of land, I will get 10 tons of maize. You know the price per ton from the beginning, you know the cost of inputs they'll give you, and you know when, if you start January, you know by the end of April, this is how much you will earn. Then people go into it. We are saying there is unemployment in the, why? Because those people in government are not ready to do the right thing. Look, I know graduates that are roaming the street. Tell them this is 1 hectare of land. At the end of 4 months, if you farm this land, you get so quantity of crops from it. This is how much it will cost. This is the cost of inputs. Then people will go back to the farm.
What's the volume of wheat that we are producing in Nigeria?
Nearly zero. Almost all the wheat we use in Nigeria are imported.
And bread can't be done without wheat.
Bread can be done. There was a time during Obasanjo's regime that they tried cassava flour.
I think they still do in Lagos. Firo.
It's not working because, you see, when it came, people embraced it. But do you know the way we run this government? When you try a thing and you are not getting the ultimate result at the beginning, you are supposed to move further. What they do is they back out. Because they back out, that program failed. During Babangida era, I remember, maybe if those of you who are old enough then will know that there was this time they said flour mills should be using cassava flour. We had semolina. We normally have semovita. Then they were bringing semolina. What they were doing was they would mix cassava flour with maize flour and they would do a combination. You see, then some people invested into the production of cassava flour. I did then too. I invested into the production of cassava flour. All of a sudden, somebody just woke up and that policy was cancelled.
I have tasted cassava bread before, and it's not so different from, not too different actually, because it was more like what I'm familiar with.
No, the difference is not fluffy.
Okay, maybe
it's hard.
The one I tasted, the one made in Firo in Lagos, I don't know.
Fresh,
yes, very fresh, hot.
If it's hot, but
I enjoyed it.
If it's hot, you still, but it doesn't last as the wood flour. But the point is, if we had continued on that policy, our researchers would have done more, we would have improved on it. But you see, all this fire brigade approach, when you lay your hand on something you think is not working, we don't persevere at all. Okay. We just drop policies. And you see, this is the war between Russia and Ukraine is actually putting pressure on which all over the world. It's not only in Nigeria.
They've opened the window actually.
No, before they said even
they've reached the
no
deal.
Window is opened. It's only political. You see, if as a nation everything we need will depend on other nations, then we are going nowhere.
So if we had invested in a production of wheat, maximally, we will not really be facing this kind of trouble.
We will not really be facing this
even
problem.
With the challenge of diesel.
No, you see, it's the problem we are facing is now multifaceted. We have the challenge of diesel. Not only don't limit it to diesel. Say generating your own power.
Generating your own power.
It's almost everything you generate yourself. You generate power. You look for water. You do everything.
You pay for security.
You pay for security. You do everything. And you see, as businessmen, we put all these costs together to arrive at your selling price.
Before the diesel crisis, will you say that production of bread in Nigeria, was profitable, and it was cheap enough for? I mean, we need to also compare the price of a loaf of bread in Nigeria to, what obtains in other parts of the world.
Yeah, you see, what actually happened is presently the pressure on bread is so much. Why? Other food items are not readily available. Okay. There was a time that when we have the season for yam, the sales of bread will come down. When we have the season for maize, and that time we always joke that it's mouth organ now. You know what we call mouth organ? Everybody takes maize on. The price of bread or the pressure on bread will come out. But because of insecurity, nobody is going to the farm. The yams are no more coming. The maize are not there.
And the rice is also
the alternatives.
So when the alternatives are not there, the pressure will be on the one that is available. And mind you, bread is universal. Is the only food product that across every ethnic group.
And every class.
Every class. Yeah. In those days, when we were reading Chino Achebe, Things Fall Apart, they say, he who brings cola brings life. Today, it is he who brings bread that brings life.
So, the last time we invited you to the station, you were trying to share your experience with us, with the alternative you created with the diesel-powered generator, and of course, you got a new one, which is that of gas. I don't know your experience.
No, the advantage we had is being robbed off now. 50 kg cylinder of gas now sells for 35,000 from 14,000.
So is heating hard on that as well?
Yeah, we had the advantage then when we found out that the price of diesel was going up. We had to go and buy generators that uses petrol and gas. But presently the price of gas is so high that we cannot.
So how do you compare the production, your production cost, as at the time you were using diesel-powered generator, and of course the gas powered?
Since the price of gas has gone up too.
So there's no major difference.
There's no major difference now. Since the price of gas has gone up.
So let's go into another level of the discussion, which has to do with the threat by the Bakers Association of Nigeria. We know ASU is on strike, and I think Nigerians are almost looking at any association that is union-based is mostly going to go on strike if there's problem. So how do we ensure that the associations are not...
Bakers don't go on strike.
They don't go on strike. And of course, associations like that are created, of course, when milk is expensive, we just know that it's expensive when we get to the market. Nobody is striking, nobody is denying us that opportunity to get the product. So I don't know what you have to say about that.
It's a matter, it's just unfortunate that we had gotten to this level in this nation. The only way that you can get government attention right now, and it's not right anyway, that's the truth, is by going on strike. This is a time when government or people in positions of authority would not listen to you until they are forced to take action. And it's just unfortunate. Every sector of the society is going on strike. But my question is, had it actually helped us? ASU had been on strike for over 5 months. But personally, what I find out is, if you go on strike and it is not affecting those in authority, they don't care. They don't care.
Their children are not.
Their children are not in the public school, they don't care. The only strike I found out that government rose up immediately, and because it affected them, was when these private and these aviation people threatened to go on strike.
In support of ASU too?
No, it was not in support of ASU. They were complaining about the hike in fuel of aviation fuel.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours, they never even allowed that strike. Why? Because it's going to affect them. They are the one boarding this aircraft. They don't go on road. Within 24 hours, they never allowed that strike to take off. They are only concerned about themselves. They are not concerned about we people.
What about NLC? NLC is threatening, and they are even saying it's illegal for NLC to go on strike as well. Let's see
what happens.
But perhaps what you are saying is that it will be senseless for bakers to go on strike.
I'm not saying it's going to be senseless. If you have any means by which you can twist the people that are concerned, please use it. If you have any means. But the unfortunate thing is this, and I normally tell my colleagues, the unfortunate thing is this, that the people we had voted into power are not concerned. And normally, when we are joking, I tell people, if it remains one bag of rice in Nigeria, it is your president that will eat it. So, do they care? They are not bothered. So we should, what I'm advocating is that those of us that are actually concerned, we should come together and sort a political solution to these problems. We need to. So
what is political in this?
Fine. Let's start with the issue of ASU. When I talk to people, they said professors are on strike. I said they cause their own problems. Professors, you remember they just started this policy of making professors returning officers in elections. we had that one professor was jailed. They sabotage the system themselves. Because they sabotage the system, they brought those who are not prepared or qualified to be in government to be in government. Now they are lording over them. If professors who knows what is right had gotten involved in the politics from the beginning, we won't have riffraffs there. We won't have those who are not qualified there. Me and you, for instance, when we are about to vote, we say you are on duty. There should be a system put in place where journalists
would also be part of the process.
Also be part of
vote.
Maybe online voting.
Voting.
That's what's done.
Those of us create a polling unit for us, and then
those of us in industry, we should be involved. If we bring one of our own, if we sponsor one of our own to be a member of the House of Assembly, either at state level or federal level, then you will be able to say, we are sending you there for this purpose. And if you are not giving us results, we can recall.
But we have all these people scattered in all leadership positions in Nigeria. You see what is happening in Borno State. You see a son in Ondo State. Former Lagos State Governor Babatunde
Raji Fashola,
private sector.
They came there on their own.
So they were not sponsored by the association.
What is happening to Labour Party? I told some people, if Labour Party is supposed to be truly Labour, if it is Labour oriented, if it is Labour financed, if it is Labour controlled, then
let's go back to bread. Let's go back to bread. Now, shouldn't it be a question of demand and supply now? Because what I'm trying to deduce from your feeling is that as a baker, you're also trying to understand the pains and the feelings of an average Nigerian. You don't totally want to support the fact that bakers should go on strike so that bread will disappear. You're trying to find a way where you can actually come and, okay, let's say we can actually offer it this price and do this and all that. But again, as a businessman, you don't think it's just a question of demand and supply. What you produce is what you sell. So if a loaf of bread that usually is sold for 500 naira now goes to 800 naira, what does it matter? As long as people will buy it.
No, you see, we are part of the society. And if you sell bread, you need to buy other things.
Okay.
If you sell bread to people, it's not only bread that you eat, you need to patronize other services too. So if you put so much pressure because you are selling bread, then
because of the profit.
Because of it's a multiplier effect on things. But what we've been doing over the years is, honestly speaking, bakery business was very lucrative. But presently, the profit margin is dropping every day. I can tell you vividly that you cannot do bread business with loans now. You can't borrow to do bread. It's now a business where you cannot foretell that tomorrow. There was a day the price of flour was changed 3 times in a day. I bought in the morning, they sold a particular price. Then someone told me he had information that the price will increase in a week's time. I went back to the same place. I wanted to buy more. They gave me another price. Then I got annoyed. I went back home. When I got home, I told my wife said, you better go and buy. Then I sent back my driver there. They changed the price for the 3rd time.
In the same
place. But you see, some of us have compassion for our customers. If we are to sell at the rate that we will make our normal profit, most people will not be able to afford it. What we are doing is we are managing to remain in business. The profit ratio has been so reduced to such an extent that some people are actually not making much. And that's the truth.
So the assurance is that there is a work in progress against bakers going on strike.
Normally, we are only appealing to government to do the needful. You see, those of us in business...
And the needful would be that, precisely?
The needful would be one, to reduce the pressure put on wheat importers.
Okay.
Give them tax holiday, at least for now. Remove the tax so that the price of wheat will come. And it's not only wheat, all other ingredients. And you see, it's only in this government, I don't know, that they are increased. Every government will say they want to generate more revenue. And how do they generate the revenue? By piling pressure on those in the industry, and even paid salary workers. They will increase your profit tax. They will increase tenant rate. They will increase business premises charge. They have increased anything without them giving any improved services. I only pity those who are civil servants.
So there's another culture in our country. When things go up, you don't actually get them come back to probably, if it is 50 naira or 500 naira, come back to 400 naira if the environment is different, like what you're suggesting now, that the government should intervene. If the government is able to intervene, are you saying that we, your customers, would get the cost of bread reduced without any anybody coming into?
Definitely. You see, to every business, there are what we call human fees. When there was this increase in the price of bread, the smallest size I had then, we call it family size, and we had to increase
family,
that.
A family cannot.
And we had to increase the price. And when I sit in the bakery and I see the way people are lamenting, people will come and say, ah.
So how much was it, the initial price, and
it was 500.
And now?
It's now 700, and people are complaining. I just sat down and said, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll make arrangement to start producing something for 500. The same quality, but smaller size.
Smaller size.
So we came up with that. You see, we are human too. Okay. The man that is selling bread, remember, if you are not, you still need to buy other things. So we should play complementary roles.
Are your colleagues doing this?
No, they are doing it.
They are doing it. At least in Ogun State.
In Ogun State, they are doing it.
Okay.
Not only in Ogun State.
All over.
All over, they are doing it. You see, for you to remain in business, you have to balance things up. If your price is so high and it's not complementary to other prices, your customers will leave.
So that exactly is what the association is about.
What
to regulate prices?
We'll regulate prices, we'll regulate the quality.
Okay.
Because you can't just produce anything. Then we come together to share information on new innovations or technology in producing. But the government is not helping. For instance, we have control bodies like NAFDAC, standard organization. Most especially these organizations were established to control quality and your procedure of production. But do you know what government is now doing? Is they are now giving them targets of how much to raise NAFDAC. And what will they do? They will come back to the manufacturers. Now, if you have your permit to produce a particular product, they'll give you the time limit, maybe 2 years. After 2 years,
you
renew. A permit you got for less than 30,000 naira, and when you are to renew, you are going to renew for 150. Is that not, does that make sense?
Is that not also part of what should be at the front burner of your association, instead of talking about the cost of production, which is that of diesel going up, the wheat, the flour you get also going up?
No, we talked about it. We talked about it, that the control agencies should be cautioned.
So that's part of your demand.
It's part of our demands, and you say they are. But when you talk to them, the explanation they will give you is that government had asked, and we are all aware that government is asking all agencies to go and raise money. I'm not sure whether OGTV had been asked to go and raise money. If you have not been asked to go and raise money, I am sure they have not been giving you enough money to function effectively. I know that. So it's all over.
We're doing well. We're doing well.
I know you are doing well. With the little resources at your disposal.
Okay, fine. But let's look at other challenges beyond diesel, beyond wheat. You also buy nylon, you know, and how are those ones also affecting?
Come, every material is not only in bakery industry. Let's be sincere. It's all over. It's all over. The price of the wrappers we use is almost 300 times the cost. 2 years ago, the cost was less than 5 naira. The last consignment I got, I bought for 16 naira 85 kobo. From 4 naira something. The invoices are there. When you look through your, and you see, these are the costs we pile together. These are the costs, and another one is that the workforce.
I was about mentioning.
Yeah, the workforce
is also affected.
You see, because of the situation in those who, a lot of people are traveling out of this nation. That's the truth. Maybe one of these days you ask your team to go to embassies. Please go and do a report on that and see the number of people, qualified men, that are traveling out of this nation. And that one is depleting our human capacity all over. Then those ones that we have, the middle class or the lower class of workers, majority of these youths are not ready to work.
Do you need professional bakers to work in a factory? Like, I don't...
Yes, you do.
Okay, people that study...
Graduates of food technology.
And are they the ones that dominate the industry in terms of the workforce?
No, the work, you need those who are food scientists at the upper echelon of the industry, but at the middle you need the bakers.
Okay. You
need the bakers, you need slicers, but you find that the majority of the youths are not ready to work.
Exactly where I'm going. That we have a lot of complaints. We hear a lot of complaints about unemployment and all that. You just alluded to another reality that a lot of the youth are not really ready.
Let me be sincere with you. Some people will say we have unemployment in this nation. Fairly, maybe. But by my own experience, what we have most are unemployable people. An average youth of these days believe that when they get employed, let me use my bakery as a case study. You employ a young man to work, he gets there, the first thing he believes is that he can eat bread anyhow, and when you are not around, they sell 5 loaves of bread. They keep the money, and you find out that the baker will connive with those in the production department, they will connive with those in marketing department, and you find out they are not just, nobody is ready. And when you protest, and they say, now, you see all this.
That entitlement mentality that we just have to sort ourselves out.
It's all over. It's all over. And I told you before we came on here, a friend of mine went to their village and the uncle was saying his son was not behaving well. He should talk to him. And that man said, Daudu, your dad said you are not going to school, you are not saying, school, kill a those of you that went to school, what had become of you? An Okada ticket man earns more than a graduate. Go to the streets. You see them all over the streets. Those people that attend to Okada riders. Go and ask how much they make per day.
What they work for? Okay.
So it's
as
bad as that.
Yeah, so closing, what is the fate of community bakers? I know you belong to the class of the elite bakers, the community bakers, that we find inside the street and all that. What is their fate in this?
The truth of the matter is everybody is waking up now. Even those you call community bakers. Since the business is getting sophisticated day by day, they are also matching up. But the fact of the matter is something needs to be done. As businessmen, let's be sincere. Whatever cost that we pile up will eventually come to the consumer. That's the truth.
So, meaning that it's as long as the situation remains this way, it's bread could actually become gold in Nigeria.
Unless
except federal government does something.
Federal government does something immediately. We can remove, if you remove the pressure on other, if people are able to go to the farm and the era of farm yam season comes back, the era of maize season comes back, definitely the pressure on wheat will come down.
By your estimation, do you think you're meeting up the demand for bread at this stage?
No, we are not meeting up. That's the truth. We are not meeting up. That if the government would rise up to what they should do, the pressure on diesel can only come down when we generate power from other sources. Come, what is happening? Only the federal grid, only the federal government can give license or authorize people to generate power.
No, that has changed. That has changed. The Senate just passed a bill, that will give independent individuals opportunity to generate electricity. I don't know when that would.
We are not here for academics. They passed the bill. It's not functional. Let's decentralize this thing. Come, for how long will we continue? If you go on, in those days when we were growing up, it was petrol stations are established on the highway for vehicles. Do you know people now establish petrol stations in the hinterland on streets, inner streets, and they are selling? Do you know why they are selling? Because we have more generators in the suburb than people.
Bigger consumption now.
Yes.
Anyway, most thank you so much for coming on this program. At least one assurance we've been able to glean from you is the fact that at least in Ogun State, in Abeokuta, you are talking with your colleagues are talking, and the price of or the prices of bread are not likely to go up very soon. And you are still pleading with government
to do the needful,
so that bread will not become gold, and we'll find it easily on our table. We must thank you so much for coming on this program. Mr. Adekunle is a baker here in Abeokuta, Ogun State, and has been here looking at the issue of the rising cost of production of bread in Nigeria, a very, very critical staple, you will say. But we just hope that something urgent is done before bread becomes gold. We'll take this break. We'll come back shortly for the second discussion segment of the program. Stay with us.
Thank you.